All right, Star, Gene, I wanted to give you both an update on just kind of go over the notes that uh, we covered on um, Monday of this week. Um, Basically, everything else everything's the same as the videos that I've sent prior, the email that I sent prior, as far as like laying out how you should orchestrate your workouts. Right, we're going to start every workout with some kind of either squat or deadlift, right, for the or two-legged movement for the lower body. We're going to do some kind of push or press. We're going to do some kind of pull, right? Whether that's vertical or horizontal. And then the other thing that I mentioned, as kind of right before we got a little bit cut off, right before the end, was doing some kind of single leg based exercise, which I think is really important. Um, so I want to kind of throw those into you today, uh, or in this video. And then finishing with your what we call single joint exercises. So that's your bicep curls, like attaching to your machine, doing the leg extensions or the leg curls, tricep extensions, like we discussed with the one cable attachment, and then some of your core stuff. So, but the big stuff, the big nut items, as we call them, are your squat or deadlift, your push or press, your pull, whether horizontal or vertical, and your in a single leg based exercise. Um, all right, so I'm going to just kind of recap. This is basically going to be the same video that I shot previously. We're going to start off with your squats, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, um, both of you guys. I'm just checking my notes on the board. Um, I think we discovered for both of you that with your squat, so we're going to do squat, press, row, and I want to give you a lunge. So with your squat, I think thought it was best to have you do a box squat. And I'm a big fan of these. I think it just kind of keeps it pretty simple and it keeps it safe. So you really want to find something that when you're at the bottom of the squat, that your knees and your hips are roughly at 90 degrees, really no further than that. Again, you can drop it down further as long as you feel comfortable doing so, but this will keep you safe. And what you can do is just begin to minimize at first, right? Just kind of start off. You can even pick up the feet at the bottom. And what that provides you is a little bit of a reset. And then as time goes on, spend a little less and less time tapping the bench, and it'll make it a little bit more challenging. Same idea applies, right? Start the breath, feel the expansion, lower on down, exhale, drive up. Start the breath, feel the expansion, lower on down, exhale, drive up. This is my preferred way of doing this, holding that dumbbell like you would a kettlebell, right? Right against the chest, right under the chin. All right, so right in that same squat, press, row, what we discovered that worked well for both of you. Well, for Gene, what you may, again, we're going single arm. Star, that worked well for you, just a single arm press. Also, sometimes it feels good. Yeah, you can go here, but if you want to even make it a little less restricted, do a staggered stance. I notice I got my heel lifted. It's kind of tough to see me behind the bench, but if you do a staggered stance, that'll take some of that pressure off. Right? Gene, for you, you could even do a staggered stance as well, especially put the foot back of the arm that tends to be a little more restricted. So I think that's your left side, right? But again, keep it as light as you can. For you, with your upper body stuff, you're just trying to restore range of motion. So whether that's a really light dumbbell, right, in the hand, just working that motion, or even to a certain extent to start off with, just doing this guy. Again, we have you doing that roller arm sweep as well, right? Up against the wall, right? Two hands, right? The other thing you can do, which I think might be constructive for you, is one hand. And I think I may have put that in the video previously, right? And then you can even, as time goes on, put a light weight in your hand, even if it's like something simple as like a small bag of rice, holding it in your hand and reaching up with it. That'll help add strength. Plus, it'll give you a little bit of stability by pushing against the wall. Okay, you guys. So we got our squat, we got our press. Oh, and so in STAR for you, Gene, same, especially as time goes on, you get stronger and stronger and you restore more and more of the motion. You can also do these seated, right? Seated presses. Another way that I like to do them, which I actually prefer over seated presses, is a half kneeling position, right? So basically a lunge position and doing them like that. Just keep tail slightly tucked so your core is engaged, a little bit of lift through the sternum. Right? So now the row is, again, you can use a bench. You can use, I know you guys don't have a bench currently. You might even be able to, and I think you can, use your machine. My guess is there's a way that you can turn around and pull in and do a horizontal row that way. I bet you there is. The other option is you can even use a chair and do maybe like a tripod position and do your row like that. With both feet on the ground, hand on the chair or a stool. And just the big thing to make sure is you got a nice flat back as you're doing this, right? Shoulder down, elbow in. Think about your prone cobra position, STAR, especially for you. All right, so again, we got our squat, our press, our pull row, right? Then we also want to add in some kind of lunge pattern. And so what you can do, and to me, this is one of these movements that is really essential, especially as we get older, that we tend to kind of fail to do until we need it. And what this is I want you to use something for support. You can use the back of a chair. You can use some kind of counter or stool, but something to support you. And you're just going to step back, lower down, come up and in. Step back, lower down, come up and in. Right? Back, lower down, up and in. If that's too challenging, or if for some reason it's bothering maybe your knee to lower down, you can always put a pillow or a pad underneath, right? And just kind of restrict the motion a little bit here. Right? And as you come up, so, right, we got your squat, we've got your press, we've got your row, we've got your single leg exercise, in this case, your lunge. And then again, what you can do is after that, you can add in your leg extensions. In this case, I would probably have you do your leg curls on this day. Maybe we do your tricep push down on this day with the rope that we attached, right? We did this guy. And then, some kind of core exercise that you can kind of throw in at the end. Right? That's a lot. It's a pretty high volume workout. There's a lot going on there, but that's a way that you could orchestrate it. If you have any questions about this, or if it's too much to put together, maybe you find, it's just a little too much, let me know. We can always go back to our original plan where we did not do the single leg exercise. And then we may give you an A, B, and a C workout. Right now, you're cycling through two. Well, let's move on. So now we're going to pair your deadlift, your press, right? Or sorry, your push, right? In this case, Gene, we have you doing that wall push up. STAR, we have you doing the floor press. Your vertical pull, which we did on your machine, which right now you have the bar, but you can also, in my recommendation, is like go on Amazon. If you want some help with this, please don't hesitate to reach out. I can help you research a handle, but you want that handle that you can pull down to do that single arm vertical pull. And then we would do some kind of step up, and I'll get to that in just a second. And then the same thing, maybe a circuit of, with you're doing something like, maybe at that point we're doing your leg extensions and we're doing some kind of bicep curls. All right, so let's dive in. So now what we discovered is, like for Gene, for you, with your deadlift, it seems like what's probably the best, and I think you had mentioned that you have a little, I don't know if it's a kettlebell, I forget what you mentioned, but you got your plates, that's what it is. You got your plates that you can use. Your dumbbells are a little light. I forget what the heaviest weight you have, But we discovered for you, right, that more sumo style, or really what we call a narrow sumo style deadlift, right, seems to work really, really well for you, right? Star, for you, that one works also. The big thing for you is just keep a little lift through the sternum. But the other one that we discovered for you that works well is more of what we call a Romanian style deadlift using the dumbbells, right? Feet a little bit more parallel. And you almost like you're wanting to think the dumbbells kind of fit right there, and the gap in the dumbbell or the handle of the dumbbell sits on your thighs. The big thing is push the hips back, right? Versus coming down, we're pushing the hips back. And that's really all deadlifts. The hip moves horizontally, right? That's the key. All right, so you got those two variations, right? Moving on. Now, Gene, for you, that wall push-up, right, we discovered works the best for your press. Now, as time goes on, you can, whether you guys choose to get a bench and do these presses on the bench, or whether you choose to do them on the floor, let me just show these to you, is really up to you. Oop, that doesn't work. All right, so Star, for you, right, if you end up getting a bench, right, we're really kind of, you want to think press to the floor, squeeze the glutes, arch in the back a little bit, lift through the chest as you're doing these presses. Again, Gene, same thing, but for Gene, for you, if you want to try these, right, first start off, hey, can you do this motion? And if you can't, again, maybe you grab a bag of rice or something to really, like maybe a pound, if that, right? Something that's light, but that gives you just a little bit of resistance, and you start to slowly work your way up. I would stay with single arm, right? Just do single arm and just kind of gently work to restore this motion. Again, whether it's doing the wall push-up or a single arm press. So, but Star, that's one variation. The other variation, and the one that we've been doing, is having you go onto the floor and doing what we call a floor press, right? Here's another variation. And this is kind of a great place to start. This is where we started before. Now, if we want to make this more challenging, we just bring the legs up into this reverse tabletop position. Now we're going to start to work the core a little bit here. Okay. So we have our deadlift, we have our push, and then with your row on this one, what we discovered is doing this single arm pull down. And so again, getting some kind of handle for your machine, that would be my recommendation. Gene, it's just going to be better for your body, I think. And Star, I would do it for you because the tendency with the bar is it locks you in a position and we tend to kind of elevate the shoulders, which we don't want to do. It puts a lot of compression on the neck. We want to stick with that single arm. So you can do these either standing, which is great, and sometimes feels a little bit better to do that. You can also make it a little bit more functional. You can even add a little bit of rotation here, which is really nice. Works your core a little bit. The other thing you can do is do it from a half kneeling position or this lunge position. Same idea. All right, same idea. And then the last one I would do in here is some kind of step up. And so in the gym, right, we have these boxes, right? At home, some kind of stool would work really well. Again, you really, or a step, right? So like Star, for you, like your basic stair riser, I think is about 7 inches. That's perfect. Gene, for you, because you're taller, you really want it to be roughly around mid shin, no more than that. So like this is good for me. It's about mid shin heights. You know, between 10 to 12, this is 12 inches. Between 10 to 12 inches would be great for you, Gene. Again, between like 6, maybe 6 to 8 for you, Star, like your basic stair. This pretty simple way to load it, right? You can always put this next to a countertop or a door frame, right? To make this a little bit more stable. If you want to just work on your balance, which is highly recommended, right? You can always do it right here. And then if it becomes a little easy, you can start doing things like lifting your leg up instead of adding weight, right? And then even taking it a step further and seeing if you can bring it through almost like you're about to take another step. So this is just another couple of variations, but doing that single leg step is really key. And then again, maybe on this day, you do your bicep curls and you do, your leg extensions. And then again, some kind of core work of your choice. I hope that's helpful for you guys. Hope it's not overly complicated. The way I would do this is, again, you could do it as a circuit, or you can pair it, meaning like you can do in this case, your deadlifts and your presses, and then maybe you do your pull and your step up. You pair those and you go back and forth. You can also do all of your sets at one time and then move on to the next exercise. That's kind of the classic way of doing it, giving yourself about anywhere between 45 to 60 seconds in between, just letting your breathing normalize before you go on to your next set. Again, and I'll include this again, but as I mentioned before in the previous email, laying out your programming, start off with like doing 8 to 10 repetitions. Once 10 feels easy, take it up in the next level of intensity. Take it up to 10 to 12 repetitions. Once 10 to 12 feels good, take it up to 12 to 15. Once 15 feels good, find a way to level it up just a little bit, whether that's a heavier weight, whether that's a more intense variation, right? But find a way to level it up and then just drop the reps back down. Again, you're going back 8 to 10. And then just start to slowly repeat that process of building up. Listen, guys, I hope this is helpful. Please don't hesitate if you got any questions. And aloha. It was great meeting you both. And I'm here if you want a little refresher, if there's some way that you want to kind of move forward with your training. I'm sure you guys will do great, but don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Aloha.